The old Victorian house loomed over Clara like a skeletal hand reaching from the grave, its paint peeled like sunburnt skin, and the windows, dark and vacant, stared out like the eyes of a corpse. Clara, a young woman burdened by a crippling anxiety disorder, had inherited the house from her estranged grandmother, a woman she barely knew. Driven by a desperate need to escape her cramped city apartment and a flicker of hope for a fresh start, she had reluctantly agreed to spend the summer sorting through the remnants of her grandmother's life. The first few days were unsettling, but manageable. The floorboards groaned underfoot like weary bones, and the wind whistled through cracks in the walls, whispering secrets in a language Clara couldn't understand. But it was the mirror in the attic that truly unnerved her, an ornate, antique piece with a tarnished silver frame. It seemed to watch her with a malevolent intelligence. Whenever she looked into its depths, she felt a chill crawl down her spine, a sense of being observed by something ancient and unseen. One stifling July night, the oppressive heat drove Clara to seek refuge in the attic, the coolest room in the house. As she sorted through dusty boxes of old photographs and letters, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She glanced at the mirror, and her blood ran cold. Her reflection was gone, replaced by a shadowy figure that mimicked her movements with a grotesque mockery. Panic seized her. She stumbled back, knocking over a stack of books. As they tumbled to the floor, a small leather-bound journal slipped from between the pages. Curiosity overcoming her fear, Clara picked it up. The journal belonged to her grandmother, filled with rambling entries detailing her obsession with the mirror and her belief that it was a portal to another world. The beings on the other side, her grandmother had written in a shaky hand, they crave our world. They watch, they wait, and when the mirror calls, they will come. A cold dread washed over Clara. She looked up at the mirror, and her breath hitched. The shadowy figure was no longer a mere reflection. It was stepping out of the mirror, its form solidifying into a creature of impossible angles and shifting shadows. Its eyes, if you could call them that, were voids of pure darkness, and its mouth was a gaping maw filled with needle-sharp teeth. Clara screamed, her voice echoing in the cavernous attic. She scrambled back, desperate to escape, but the creature was faster. It lunged, its icy claws reaching for her. She closed her eyes, bracing for the inevitable, but the attack never came. Instead, she heard a crash, followed by a guttural roar of pain. She opened her eyes to see the creature writhing on the floor, impaled by a shard of the shattered mirror. Standing over it, wielding a heavy iron poker, was Mrs. Henderson, the elderly housekeeper who came by once a week to clean. I always knew that old mirror was trouble, Mrs. Henderson said, her voice surprisingly steady. Your grandmother? She was never quite right in the head, you know, obsessed with all that spiritual nonsense. Clara stared at her, speechless. Mrs. Henderson, the kindly old woman who baked her cookies and watered her plants, had just saved her life. Come on, dear, Mrs. Henderson said, offering her a hand. Let's get you out of this house. It's not safe here. As they fled the house, Clara couldn't help but wonder about Mrs. Henderson's secret knowledge. Was she simply a pragmatic old woman who knew how to deal with a supernatural threat? Or was there something more to her? Something connected to the mirror and the creatures beyond? She didn't know, and perhaps she never would. But one thing was certain. She was leaving the house and the terrifying secrets it held behind forever. Clara never returned to the house. She sold it quickly, never revealing the true horrors she had witnessed. She continued to struggle with her anxiety, but the experience had given her a newfound strength, a resilience she never knew she possessed. She had faced her fears and survived, and that knowledge, however terrifying, would stay with her always.
Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. All these things help our channel grow. If you have had a cryptid or paranormal encounter and would like to share your story on our channel, please email us at the email on the screen or in the description. Thank you.